Right guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In this one I'm just going to be showing you how to make the B-screw adjustment on your rear derailleur. That is if you've got a Shimano M8100 or an M9100 or an M7100, or if you're using the M9120 or the 8120 or the 7120, and if you're using the 1051 rear cassette, or if you're using a 1045 rear cassette with a double on the front. The adjustment on the B screw varies to which derailleur you're using, which cassette you're using, and which chain rings you're using on the front. It varies between all of them. So I'll go ahead, I'll try and explain it for you the best I can. Right, so here we have a Shimano DRXT M8100 rear derailleur. So this rear derailleur goes with the single front chain ring like you see there, and the 1051 rear cassette, as you can see. Now they also do the derailleurs, obviously you can get the M7100 and the M9100 in this as well with this configuration. But if you're using a double on the front chain rings, then on the rear you'll be using the M9120 or the 8120 or the 7120 rear derailleur, and that will be using a 1045 cassette on the back because you've got the double on the front. So the setup, like I said, for the B screw adjustment on the derailleurs will therefore be different. So what I'll do, and by the B screw adjustment I mean the screw, the Allen key hex head there at the top, will adjust the gap when you're shifted right over to the largest at the rear, between here, the teeth, and the teeth of the guide pulley at the top there. So I'll just shift over to there and I'll show you what I mean. So as you can see, it's on the largest at the rear. Like I said, this is a 1051 cassette, and there you have the guide pulley there. So it's the gap between here and that top guide wheel. So what I'll do, I'll just spin it around and I'll show you the other side and show you what the adjustments are. Right, so here it is from the inside view. Now what you're looking for, and I'll try and point out the best I can so you can see and you can try and understand what we're talking about, is just up in there. There's two arrows, and on this one it actually says 51 tooth because this derailleur is for the single ring, like I said, and a 1051 rear cassette. This is it, like I said, the M8100. So yours, if it's a 8100, 7100 or 9100, you can use it for the 1051 rear cassette. The only exception being is if you've got the M9100 and it's just the GS rear derailleur, for that's for a 1045, but all the other ones, if it's SGS after the numbers, then it's meant for the 1051 rear cassette. So now I'll try and show it the best I can, but you'll see there's two arrows, very small, one there, one there, and it says 51 there, and there's a line just above it, so you can see an indent there where the screwdriver is running in. So that line there, and this applies to the 51 tooth rear cassette with the 8100 like this, the 7100 or the 9100 SGS rear derailleur. If you've got that line there like that, then the teeth here of the largest at the back, so the 51 tooth, you want the teeth, when you adjust the screw with 2mm hex head, you adjust it and it lines up with that groove there in the inside of the cage that you can see, like so. Now this is where it becomes, well, not complicated, but there's different versions of this. So like I said, if you've got a 9100, the XTR, and it's a GS and it uses a 1045 rear cassette, because the derailleur is not, you won't be able to use it on the 51 rear cassette, so it's on the 45 rear cassette, so that's a GS after it. Then you've got to line it up, the teeth, the edge of the teeth here, you've got to line it up with the top of the cage, so up on the top of the cage here, you can't see, just up there you can just see the daylight, you'd line them teeth up with the top of that there. If it was a GS, so 9100 GS. But like I said, this one you line it up, because it's got 51 written there, this 51 tooth rear, you just line it up with the groove in there, with the teeth there, lines up with that. Now, if you was running a double on the front, so double chainring on the front, and your rear derailleur was the M9120 or the 8120 or the 7120 SGS rear derailleur, so they're meant for the 1045 rear cassette, because you're running the double on the front, so the derailleur is different. Then the adjustment then is different again, because the adjustment for it then is basically, you want it so you measure, so you get yourself a tape measure and measure from the tip of the 45 tooth at the back, largest, so measure from the tip of the tooth there down to the centre of the bolt there of the guide wheel, so that distance between there and there wants to be 46 centimetres, sorry, millimetres, 46 millimetres, so from the tip of there to there is 46 millimetres, and that's if you're using, like I said, a double on the front with the 1045 cassette on the back with the appropriate derailleur number ending in 20 and not the 100. So that's the setup. Like I said, for this derailleur, because it's the M8100, you can see there, you want it lined up there with that line. You can see an indent, a little groove there between that arrow there and that arrow there, in between the two, want the tooth like so, and then you just turn your B screw, 2mm hex head on the derailleur, and then line that up with there, halfway between them two arrows, just there like that. So that explained the differences between them. I hope it explained it so you can actually understand it. And also, to get that gap right there, you may have to run your chain slightly different length to normal. Obviously, if you've got the chain too short and it's pulling the derailleur round, exaggerating, if I knocked a couple of links out of that, then by doing so, the chain is shorter, so it pulls the derailleur down, so it's even further away where those marks were, so you might not have enough adjustment on the screw. So you've got to have the chain enough, not too short. I'll show you what it's like when it's in the 10 tooth at the back so you can just see what I'm talking about. Right, so here's the derailleur set in the 10 at the back, 10 tooth. As you can see, it's back like so. It's not interfering with anything, so the chain isn't coming through and interfering with anything on the derailleur. It's just coming through. But if you had it too short, then it's starting down there somewhere. As you can see, the chain goes slack. But if you're starting down there somewhere, then by the time you get all the way up to the 51 at the back, then it's harder to make the adjustment with the B screw adjustment like I was just showing, because the cage has moved further and further away. So by doing so, you run out of adjustment on your B screw. It's only got so much adjustment in here before you run out of adjustment. So if you have the chain, like I said, if it's somewhere around here to start with, not like that, the chain's still got loads of tension on it, even there, and the clutch is switched off anyway. Like say, you do adjustments with the clutch off, so like say you don't want it round like that because it's exaggerated by the time you get up to there. Right, so I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more cycle related content. Till next one, ride safe and I'll see you then.